she ain't showing up. Something's going on. Are they at our house? Did she realize who it was? Did she like draw everybody out and then go to our house? We didn't know what was going on. So of course I was the closest because Jerry wanted me to be the closest to the house and the farthest away from the situation. So I was like, what's up, motherfuckers? I'm gonna be first. Jerry's like, don't go in, just go to the house, lock the doors, blah blah blah, see what's going on. I'm like, cool. So heading to the house. We live about 6 minutes from where we were meeting her. And get to my driveway. I don't see any police lights or cars or anything like that. And our driveway's pretty long, but I could see just enough to know that there's none there because I could see them ahead. And I'm like, the house is fine. Cats. So I kept going. And about a half a mile from our house, it changes counties. It changes from Greene County to Lawrence County. And obviously if someone's chasing a car, police officers chasing a car, they can't go into the next county. So they were all talking with each other, obviously, and coordinates or whatever. So I'm about to approach this bridge, okay, which is right exactly where the counties change. And coming towards me, it's 2-lane road, coming towards me is about 3 sheriffs. And right before they get to me and they're at the bridge, they flip a bitch, turn around, immediately pull over, turn all their lights off. I'm like, that's weird. Like, but I'm gonna keep going. So I kept going. Didn't see anything. Like, that's odd. I get down to this road. I turn around. By the time I'm coming back, oh, this was the fucking best. By the time I'm coming back, Tyler Brown is pulling out of this gravel BFE road leading to who knows where. And he is surrounded by sheriffs, highway patrol. There's like 10 of them. All guns drawn, screaming at the top of their lungs, show me your fucking hands, show me your fucking hands. Blah, 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 screaming. And this was like a 30-second period by when I passed those cop cars that flipped a bitch. And I turned around and came back. 30 seconds. So this is what had happened. I had found out later. Oh, also, by the way, I was still by myself by this point. And when I came back around and saw them guns drawn, it was him hanging his head out that fucking window of a stolen pickup truck, hands out the air with someone else in the passenger seat. And I rolled my window down. I'm like, fuck it, get him. I was so fucking pumped. I was happy. I was like, oh my God, they freaking arrested him. That's why she didn't show up, because they got into a car chase. They had a getaway car and a stolen car they were picking up. They had a stolen car that was parked somewhere in the middle of some random ass field. So they ditched their car that they actually own into a field, ran, jumped into the stolen truck, and that's what they were coming down out of the valley with. So she was supposed to like probably meet up with us, but then they needed an out or something. I don't know what was going on, but freaking awesome. When I saw him hanging out that window, I was like, oh. So I'm like adrenaline pumping, super excited. You can see the police car lights from the end of our driveway. So I dial all the guys up. I'm like, they fucking got him. They fucking got him. These guys hands out the window. Their guns drawn. They're right down from the road. Everyone come to the house, which they were like pulling in by then anyways. So we're all there like freaking pumped. We're like, yes, this is freaking awesome. This is so cool. Then they booked him for 24 hours and released him. Surprise. So, here we are, the next day, book and release. We can see him on CaseNet or whatever it is, mugshots, from fleeing a scene. And the point that's really cool, what we found out from police officers, is the point that I saw them flip a bitch is because they were Greene County police officers that had crossed over, chasing him into Lawrence County, and they GPS starred the back of their car. Freaking cool. So after they got that, it was like right at the Lawrence County threshold, so he did it just in time. They shot one of the GPS stars, got the back of his car, they turned around, that's when they were heading my way. They flipped a bitch real quick, turned over, shut all their lights off because they wanted him to think that they weren't chasing anymore and that he lost him. Right? So, but they could see where he was going, so they could tell Lawrence County like where their car was. So that's how, Stella. That's how they found out that they like ditched their car and then hopped in something else. So freaking cool. So cool. So anyways, that was neat. So all the guys come over. We spend like an hour just talking about everything. And We're like, oh, good, I'm glad they got them. Of course, the next day we find out they booked and released possession of stolen vehicle, paraphernalia, blah, 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 whatever. Because apparently, yeah, anyways, I don't want to get into how annoying the justice system is. But, all right, we're getting to the really good part. I know, that's not even the good part. I just have to tell all these stories to lead up to it. So, and this is all like in a 3-week span. It's just insane. So, I've probably got 10 minutes left just so you have an idea. So, that happened. Found out they were released. We're like, fuck, okay, well, we got to set them up again, but we'll give it a couple days. So, a couple days go by. I had seen that she had posted a couch for sale like the day before. So, I'm like, all right, same kind of thing. Delete me off Facebook, message her, tell her you want that couch. So, finally, she did. Same kind of thing, last minute, like, okay, well, I can be over there in 30 minutes. So, same kind of deal. Guys, get your asses here. Different plan this time. Okay? Because she wanted us to meet her at her old house they were renting. It was a couch they were selling it out of the house that they raided. We're like, oh, sweet. We're like, do we call the detectives and tell them we're going over there or not? Nah. We can handle it. We're just buying a couch, right? Sure, just a couch. It could have been a freaking burnt out cigarette and I would have bought it if that meant that I could get to them. We could get to them. So we had 6-7 guys split up into 2 vehicles. We had our pickup truck, which we had 4 guys in, 4 people, including me. Then we had our other buddy's truck, of which they were going to show up and be the ones buying the couch. So you had 4 guys in that truck too. One of them was to stay in the truck at all times. The other 2 were going to get out, negotiate the price of the couch, load it up, and confront them. They knew our truck, so we posted up at the storage unit across the road, probably a minute down the road. So by this time, it was dark outside, okay? She had kept pushing off, sorry, we're going to be there soon, sorry, we're going to be there soon. I think it was just to wait till it was dark outside and people were going to sleep so they wouldn't realize that they were back at that house and call the cops. So I texted the neighbor across the road and I said, hey, we're meeting them over there to supposedly pick up a couch. We're going to confront them and tell them they need to give us our other motorcycle. Don't call the cops if you see us over there. Don't call the cops if you see them over there just because they showed up. We got it handled. She said, okay. So I kept texting her back and forth. I wanted them to show up at the house before we did. So the neighbors let us know when they got there. They let us know how many people were there, what they were wearing, if she could tell they were carrying. Any information she could give us, they would. And at this point, she was scared shitless because of everything that was going on. And we were getting a little nervous too. So we sent in the first truck, and what we did was we stayed on the phone line, and our friend put it in his pocket so we could hear everything that was going on. That way we could tell if something was going wrong. I mean, we had the cops like right there on speed dial. That is the worst decision you could ever make. Don't ever do that. Don't ever go to someone's house like that in this kind of situation. Horrible move. But at this point, cops were not finding anything. They weren't trying to find anything. We wanted our bike back. That is our property and we needed it back. So we sent the truck up there. They're on the phone. They pull in. At this point, reality sets in that we could have potentially just gotten our best friends killed. We don't know what these people are like. We don't know what they're involved with. We don't know if they're caring. We don't know if they're super defensive right now because of everything going on and the eyes that are on the back of their heads all the time. Reality set in, and Jerry and I and our friends in the back started freaking out. We're like, what did we just do? We just sent them into crossfire. Like, granted, like, they were wanting to, and everyone wants to be involved, and they, like, all of our friends are just not high, like, they don't care about risks. Like, they're family, and they're badasses, and it'll be okay. And that was terrifying. Jerry and I both were, like, right there on the verge of anxiety attacks. Like, I had never felt so much guilt and, like, the lump in my throat, and I wanted to puke and everything, but you couldn't make noise because we had to listen to the muffling and the talking going on in the phone. It's just horrible. So this is what happened. They pulled up, they backed in to the house. They met them. Conversation was totally fine at first. It was, oh yeah, you guys are moving? Yeah, we're moving. Got a different house and said the name of the town. We're just trying to get rid of some stuff, get some money saved up. He's like, oh yeah, I get it. So they're like, well, let's take a look at the couch. And they had the couch out already, out of the house, which I was very thankful for, because once they went into that house, I would have never, anyways, yeah. So the couch was outside of the house, and he's like, yeah, I think I'll take it. And as they started to like talk about loading up, our friend just goes, all right, this isn't why we're here. And they were like kind of caught off guard. And the second he said, this isn't why we're here, that's when I started freaking out. Because at that point they could react really badly, or they could react like children in trouble. And thank God that's exactly how they did. They're like, what do you mean? Our friend's like, we're here to get our friend's bike back that you stole. Face just like that. And it just went silent. And we were like, oh my God, did the phone cut out? What's going on? And they talked a little bit and like played stupid. And finally our friend was like, all right, well, we're going to bring the owners over here and you can tell them to their faces that you don't know where it's at. And they're like, okay, like freaked out. They were terrified because we got some big boy friends, and that's who we sent over there. So of course we're seconds down the road. So we pull in, and this is the scene. We're at their back door area, and there's like 3 concrete steps that lead up to their back door. It's the guy and his fiance, and then the guy's brother sitting up on the rail. The second I walk up, I'm just scanning everything. Guy, brother on the rail has got a big old pig knife on his side. The other 2 are in pretty tight clothes. They aren't carrying, I can tell. And they're sitting down, and our guys are standing up. So pretty well even eye level, but it's almost like a scolding a child. They were sitting on the steps. So at this point, adrenaline's pumping. We roll up. We leave one guy in the car, and Jerry and I come out. And Jerry walks up there, introduces himself, polite as always, gentleman. And then he goes, all right, so where's my fucking bike? And they're like darting eyes at each other, like, what do we say? Like, how much do we tell him? Like, do we tell him we know? Blah, blah, blah. And he just basically said, you've got one choice, and it's to tell me where my fucking bike is. Yep, and that's your only fucking choice. And they kind of gave us a little bit of information. They gave us the name of this guy. Now, I'm going to use this name because it's just generic. They called him Junior because that was his nickname, was Junior. Junior brought these bikes over, these 2 bikes. He said he was just going to leave them here for a couple days, and then he was going to get rid of them. And then he ended up leaving that green one, my Kawasaki, and then taking that black one. And we don't know, like, anything about it. We don't know where they are. That's all we know. It's drugs. Oh, my God. Poor me. Poor me. It's drugs. It's drugs. I'm high all the time. I don't know what I'm doing. Meh. So then Jerry goes into dad mode, and he was like, you really want to go down that road? Their children were there too, by the way, so that's what like made everything at ease. He's like, do you want those babies taken away? Because you got 3 under the ages of 6. You really want to lose those babies? And they were like, no, we don't want to lose these babies. They were just lying through their teeth. They knew everything. So how it ended was Jerry saying, all right, I'll give you an option out. You've got 5 days to call me and tell me where my motorcycle is. If not, I know way too many people that won't give a shit what happens to you if they find you first. And which is true. We've got a lot of connections to like the motorcycle clubs around here, and nobody likes thieves. So it could have ended badly. All we had to do was just tell someone a name, and then we'd be out of it. Be done. So we said, you got 5 days to tell us where their bike is, and then we'll drop charges. We won't do anything. Be done. You'll be dust. So we're like, okay, yeah. So, sure enough, a week goes by. And of course, it was a day that Jerry left town for work. He was currently on a flight to his layover in Dallas, Texas. And I get a call from my buddy, and he was like, the brother called. He said if we come pick him up, take him to Raleigh to his baby girl and his baby mama, he'll tell us where the bike is. And I was like, okay, this is a decision I have to make since Jerry's on a plane. Yep, we're doing it. Round up the boys. We're going to get him, and he's taking us to the bike. So we pick up, we'll call him Brad. We pick up Brad. He's beaten up. He's sweaty. He's been walking for hours. Basically what had happened was, I think from what I remember, is they got pissed at him, told him to get his shit and leave because he was done with the situation. His job and his main role in a lot of this was to watch the kids while they went out and stole things. Did he involve himself in the stealing? Yeah. But something about he didn't want to do his job that night, and they got pissed and he just left. So he had had enough. He was at his breaking point. He was done with the situation. So he called us and said, I will tell you where your bike is if you'll take me to my baby girl and my baby mama, which was a couple hours away. Deal. So we loaded up. We went and got him. And you know what, guys? He was one of the nicest people I have ever met. Just a pure heart. And I would never ever have thought I would say that, but really was. He was just in the worst situation possible. And what had happened was he had lived in another state. He wanted to get away from drugs. He had been using. He wanted to get out of it. So he called his only family he had left, his brother. That was in a different state here. And he said, hey man, I got to get out of these drugs. I got to get out of this place. Like, do you have anything? Do you have work? Like, can I come live with you guys for a little bit till I'm on my feet? Of course, Tyler Brown was like, yeah, dude, we got you. We've got a roof over our heads. Come over. We'll take care of you. So Brad's got no money, not a lot of family, no house, no vehicle, no driver's license, nothing. He shows up to his brother thinking he's going to help him and throws him right in the middle of a theft ring. Right in the middle of it. And he didn't have a choice. He's like, and he told us this, he's like, I didn't have anywhere to go. I couldn't live anywhere. I didn't have a car. I didn't have money. I had nothing. So when I was thrown into this and realized the people of power that were involved, he was like, I felt like I couldn't say no. I was in the middle of it before I even got there. And he'd only been there for a couple months, not very long. And that, a couple months is all it took for him to be done with it. And that's what made him call us. He was like, the night that you guys confronted us, I could tell that you guys were family. You cared about each other. You were supporting each other. You were living a good life. And he's like, that's what I wanted. When you guys came over and did that, I saw what I wanted for my own life. And I knew that I wasn't getting it here. So you said that you would help me if I told you, and I trusted you, and here I am. And he was coming down off of drugs. He was going through withdrawals. He was shaking. He was terrified because he knew that the people he was working for were going to find out that he ratted, and he was right. They found out within 30 minutes, and his phone was blowing up. I told him, I said, you turn that phone off, you throw it away, or take the battery out. It's going off. Because at this point, I had not bonded with him, but I heard his story. And I could see in his eyes he was telling the truth. He had a daughter that he was just wanting to get back to. He wanted to take care of. He wanted to get out of the drugs. He wanted to get out of the stealing. He wanted to get out of the situation that he was in, and he had nowhere to turn to. But we gave him that out by giving them the option to call us, and we would protect their name. So we said, look, we appreciate what you're doing. My husband is now on his way back from his layover flight. He changed his flights to come back immediately. And we said, you take us to where the bike is. We find the bike. We will protect you. We will make sure that they don't get to you. So he did. He took us right to it. He told us where it was on this property. It was on a farm. And we sent a guy in. He took a picture of it, confirmed the VIN. It was ours. Came back out, called the cops. They made a raid that night, and we went and picked it up. So, Brad, really good guy. Really is. He was just wrong place at the wrong time. Had no resources to keep himself alive. So what we did was we put him in a hotel for 4 days. We brought him food. We took his phone. We took his weapons. We took care of him like we said we would. We protected him, and then we got him the hell out of Dodge. Later down the road, We got him checked into a sober living house. He started working on his GED, and he had a full-time job. And he was buying his first car, and he called us about what motorcycle he should buy, and he turned out to be really great. And also not in a bloating way, but that was thanks to us because we gave him an outlet. We didn't just show up there, guns blazing, fists swinging. We gave them an outlet, and some people, that's all they need, and that's what he needed. So he spent time with his daughter again. He got to spend Father's Day with her. It was a cool situation, and that was the silver lining. So back to finding Jerry's bike. Now, this is the prized possession of both of us. And Jerry was on his way back. He unfortunately couldn't be there at the time that we actually drug it out of the ravine that it was in. Almost, thank God, because it was trashed. It was stripped. It was absolutely stripped. A beautiful bike, and they just stripped it. They took the HED headlights out of it. They took the plastics off. They cut the battery out. Like, get a freaking Allen whatever and take the freaking thing out. Why'd you cut the wires? Like, stupid. Took that out, took the taillights out. I mean, just stripped it and then threw it. And the house that it was at was the parents of the person in charge of the theft ring. So here's the dynamic. You've got your main guy up here, okay? Then you've got the guy right below him that controls all the little people. They control where they live. He controlled what they drive, what they eat, what they drink, what they do each day, who they talk to, their phones. And then, yeah, he has all the minions below him who are stealing vehicles, running drugs. They're paying them in dope and a little bit of cash. They provide them with a place to live. That's controlled by that above guy. And they're driving around stolen vehicles, just basically living a thief life. Brad told us a lot about what was going on the inside. They were moving illegal drugs through the cartel, illegal weapons. They had a meeting one day that he was a part of that some guys in the cartel came over, and his head guy was testing them out and shooting them to see if there would be something that they'd want to buy. Insane shit. Insane. So not only was Brad's life on the line if he got caught, but ours were too. Because then we would be accomplices, or they didn't know if Brad would snitch about everything that he knew about with all the stuff they were involved with. And if he knew and he told us, then we would know, and then our lives would be at risk. So when he told me that, that was a point where I'm like, okay, now that we have Jerry's bike back, we need to be done. This has got to be it. We've got to cut all the ties. Like, we can't involve ourselves anymore in this. Like, this has to be it completely, because we want it to look like we got our stuff back and we're done. We didn't want our names getting to anybody else. And with all the shit that we did, I'm surprised it hadn't already. But, you know, when you're going around stealing a bunch of people's crap, you can't expect some of them not to look for them and find it. So maybe in, like, the cartel's eyes, it was just someone being a little bit more proactive about finding their stuff. And we tried to go through the police as much as we could. Like, when we verified that that bike was there, we dropped a pin exactly where it was. And I was able to call the detective and say, hey, I know where it's at. Here it is. Here's pictures of it. Can you go get it? And then they made a raid that night. So it's just all sorts of messed up. The very main guy, you look him up on Facebook and he's normal. He's got pictures of his grandson playing t-ball. I mean, he's normal. He owns his own business. Then you hear on the side that Brad tells me, and he's got counterfeit money equipment in his attic that he was arrested for and sent to prison for like years ago. Still has it in there. You know, his business is just a cover for all the money that he's laundering. I mean, it's just unreal. And then the guy right below the main guy, that's whose parents' house, that's the house that we found Jerry's bike at, was his parents' house. He's using his parents. I'm pretty sure he owns that property from what Brad told us, that he owns that house and his parents live there. I don't know. Either way, he pays for it, something, with dirty money, obviously. And it's just like a business. They steal stuff, they sell stuff, they run drugs, they run guns. That's their business, and it's sickening. And months down the line, Brad ended up telling me that the main guy shot his wife and is now in prison. So some serious fucked up shit. Like, we're lucky to be alive. It's insane. But, you know, the last thing they're worrying about is 2 people getting their stolen motorcycles back. That's all we wanted. But that's kind of the ending of the story. We got Jerry's bike back. It was obviously totaled. Then we had to fight with the insurance companies. We lost out on our deductibles. So not only did the stealing cost us money on our shop, it cost us our deductibles, cost us our motorcycles, our helmets that we didn't get paid back for. We ended up finally getting back our JBL speaker because they had raided some of those people's cars like a couple weeks later and found a speaker, and we knew that we had one stolen. So that was a few weeks after I got Jerry's bike back, and I went into the county. Stella! I went into the county jail to get it and sign for it, and I was like, are you guys getting anywhere? Like, how are you going to put these guys away? And he was like, honestly, the guy's house that belonged to the parents of the guy that you found Jerry's bike at, we've been trying to put him away for years. And he pulled out like 6 or 7 3-ring, like 3-inch notebooks. Gosh dang it, Stella. And was like, slapped him up on the desk, and he was like, this isn't enough for the judge to put him away for life. All of this is on these guys, and we can't put them away. He was like, can you understand how frustrating it is to find all of those stolen vehicles, stolen property, and not be able to put those guys away for it? And to hear your testimony and for you to tell us about Jerry chasing them at Casey's and confronting them and them telling you guys that that they stole your bikes, and that's still not enough to put them away. And I'm like, I couldn't do your job just because of that. I would love to do your job, but I couldn't, because you'd catch all the bad guys and they get released. Like, they had been doing this for years, absolutely years, and they just hit different areas of the state. Like, it's so crazy to me. So crazy. I even provided them with pictures. So, kind of funny. Whenever I got my bike back, we took it back to my work so they could do an appraisal on it for the insurance company. And when they lifted up the tail of the passenger seat, there was a unopened sex toy stuffed in there. Stuffed in there with a receipt. So, not a receipt actually, but the part number and like the tag was still on it. So I called around to all of the adult stores in the area and asked if they could run that part number to see if it was their product and find out who it was. And eventually I got to one store and she's like, yeah, that's our part number. Like, what kind of toy is it? And I'm like, this is awkward, but it's a big cock something. And she's like, yep, that's it. And she's like, the last time we sold one of those was on this day. She's like, let me pull up some camera footage and see if I can see who it was. So she did, and she sent me pictures, and it was Junior. The guy that they said brought over the motorcycles. And who is Junior, you ask? Oh, that's the guy that was there 2 weeks prior to them breaking in. Oh, and that's the cousin to one of our friends. Now, granted, our friend and Junior are not on speaking terms. Like, that family is just batshit crazy. Like, crazy. And not friends, but Jerry had went to school with them, and one of Jerry's friends had went to school with them. So, he called him. He's like, dude, your little cousin or your little bro, whatever, he stole our motorcycles. And we got it back, but we want our helmets. So, sure as shit, he's like, I'll take care of this. Called him. I don't know what happened. Didn't have our helmets, though. But had pictures of him, sent it to the county. They couldn't even use that against everything. I gave him the freaking sex toy. Like, just insane. And that's where it ended off at. I kind of have a side story about Junior, just real quick. Couple minutes. About 2 months later, after everything was kind of done, I was just scrolling on Facebook, and I follow like a stolen motorcycle page. And someone had posted that their motorcycle was stolen, that was on a trailer attached to a truck, and they had stolen the truck. And it was behind a hotel. They had just moved here and were staying in a hotel until their house was ready. And they had pictures of surveillance videos from the hotel. And I recognized the car because it was, we'll call her Katie. because Katie's car was in the pictures. So I messaged this guy, I don't know him. I'm like, hey, here's my phone number, call me. I know who took your shit. So he called me at like 11 o'clock one night. I'm like, these are all the names we know. This is exactly where they live. You're going to want to probably find out where Junior lives. I know where he lives. It's blah, blah, blah. This is it. That's their car. So that's where you need to find it. So this was the day after it had been stolen. So it was still in that time frame where the couple days that he could probably show up to Junior's house and it'd be there. And he did, with a lot of motorcycle guys. And he got his bike back. So yay. Junior's in jail now for all the stupid shit that he's done. But if I ever see him, Jerry ever sees him, we'll share some words. So that is my crazy theft story. Getting the bike stolen, finding them, chases, cop chases down by our house, seeing them get arrested, confronting them, finally finding our bike, and finding out all the information that